Hi there. Should you have partners? I got a question from 7Y Dem who asked, is it a good thing to have partners or not? And as a general rule, the answer is no, don't have partners. So particularly in the early days, and I'm going to qualify that in a minute, right? I do have partners, but I see a lot of people, what they'll do is they have an idea, they have a startup, so they don't have a lot of resources. And what they try and do is they'll say, I'll bring in a web developer, I'll bring in somebody who's good with coding, I will bring in a marketer, and in exchange for the services, I'll give them shares or equity in the company or some kind of reward like that. Fast forward a few years and it begins to take off. They find out that their partners are lazy and they could have got those services for next to nothing. So nearly everything now in 2023 that you do, you can get everything. Just about everything is a commodity and doesn't take a lot of work and doesn't take a lot of money. So and another reason why people want partners is that sense of security where they feel like they need that second opinion. They feel like they're not in it alone. But the reality is you are in it alone, even if you do have a partner, right? So the people that you can confide in as a business owner, particularly a successful business owner, is very limited because the majority of people's partners are not in business with them. So even though they can emotionally support them and they can confide in them, good solid logic, making good decisions usually requires people around you who are either your peers or at least can relate to the situation that you're in. So that's the general rule. For whatever you do, don't have partners. Now, why should you have partners? So I've had a bunch of partners over the years, but all for different reasons. In the early days, it was because, you could be sitting at the bar, you come up with an idea, and you form a little company, and that's how the partnership started. Most of those don't work, right? Because somebody who's your friend, who you like to go for a beer with, might not be the best candidate for a life partner in business. And you'll probably spend more time with your partner in business than you will your wife or a person that you're in a relationship with. So it's a huge decision and commitment. So now, why do I have partners? There are people that I have known for years, 10, 20, 30 years, who have demonstrated themselves to be good partners, good husbands of money. They think like I do. They've kind of got the same approach to how we should do things. And that's another thing. A lot of people, they'll form a partnership, but they won't have a contract. My best and closest friends that I do business with, we have contracts. Not because we don't trust each other, but because things in life do happen. Somebody might get killed. Somebody might die. And those, if you are in business long enough, those things will happen. So, and a lot of people don't, they find that strange to ask people for a contract when they do business. It's just good business sense. I know I'm darting around all over the place here. So one reason I'm in partnership with someone is we both have the same hobby and we both are passionate about that topic. And the sums of money involved are not that outrageous. And if anything happened, neither of us would really care. Another reason I'm in partnership is someone brought me, in fact, this has happened twice in two different occasions, somebody brought me a business and asked me to help them with that business. And both of those people, are very capable people, and it looked like we might get on, and we started those businesses. And both of those businesses are successful, and I'm very grateful to be in partnership with those people. Those people are really great. But I think you got to do it for the right reasons. And the reasons I do it is it has to make sense to me. So, if you take away the examples that I just gave you, the question you should ask yourself, if you're just starting off in particular, is, can I hire somebody to do that job? Because most things on the internet now are a commodity. It's just price. what does that person bring to the party? Sometimes it can be energy. Don't underestimate energy to drive things forward. But generally, they've got to add value to the business, and that value has to be something that you don't do or can't do, or for whatever reason you won't do, right? So they've got to bring that to them. You should not be in partnership with somebody because you like them. You should not be in partnership because they asked. And you should not be in partnership with any relatives. That's another thing. And I know every time I say that, somebody points to, well, I'm in partnership with my Uncle Johnny and we've done it for 10 years and we're happy. Trust me, 99.9% of the time you bring a family member into your business, and what you did was bring a rock that you have to pay, because it's hard to fire them and it's hard to motivate them, and it can cause a lot of problems internally. So to answer the question, TY Dem, what's the pros and cons? Hopefully I've explained that. If you want to hear more about it, just let me know. Don't forget to give me a like, subscribe, and give me some feedback. Thanks for listening.